Toto Wolff said no to having Max Verstappen on his team starting in 2026, but he didn't completely say never for maybe after 2027. Things are slowly getting figured out, but Max didn't stay quiet about it. After he shared how he feels about this whole thing, Max might want to think really hard before deciding what to do next in his racing career. So, will Red Bull actually make him want to leave because of their engine problems? And more importantly, which team would want to take him? If Max decides to leave Red Bull, there's definitely a lot to figure out from this whole Wolff and Verstappen drama. And even though it seems like it's all decided, I don't think this is going to end here because of what Wolff said. Mercedes wants to focus on 2026 with the same two drivers they have right now. But at the same time, they don't want to give up on Max just yet because they might have a chance to get him in 2027. Talking more about what Mercedes wants to do in the new rule changes, Wolff said, "We've been talking about this for weeks and months, so everyone knows what's happening. We want to keep going with George and Kimi. That's what we want to do first. You can't ignore someone like Max and what he's planning for the future. We thought about it, but I don't think there will be any big surprises, and if you think about it, this makes the most sense." Ever since Hamilton left, Mercedes has made some big changes inside the team, like bringing in Antonelli as an 18-year-old new driver, and giving Russell way more responsibility than he had before. And I don't think that turned out badly at all. Russell won a few races and Antonelli got the fastest time in Miami, and came in third place in Canada. So with the current rules, I think Mercedes is on a good path to get better starting in 2026. Most F1 reporters and experts think Mercedes is going to make the best engine starting in 2026, just like what happened in 2014. Yes, that would be boring for the sport, but now that Ferrari and Honda have their own projects, I think it's going to be harder for Mercedes to get the big advantage they had back in the turbo hybrid time. Either way, the door has pretty much been closed for Max for 2026, and Max accepted it nicely. I don't think he really wanted to be in the news about this in the first place, but once the stories came out about the trip to Sardinia at the same time as Toto Wolff's trip, the four-time world champion told everyone how he felt about the whole situation. Talking more about this meeting and how much of a coincidence it was, he said, "Well, I was swimming in the ocean at the time. I don't really care about those things because I went on vacation with my friends and family, and when other people are also there at the same time, that can happen. I mean, there are more people on the island than just me and Toto and our families. If you go to the same island, that can happen. We're still not 100% sure where Max's future is after 2026. He's the kind of driver who always looks for the best performance in the best car. And if he doesn't get that, then you can be sure he won't just sit there and do nothing." This has been confirmed by his manager, Vermeulen. And in a joking way, Verstappen said there's a chance he might not wake up tomorrow and won't race in the sport anymore when someone asked him about 2026. Talking more about this, Max said, "There's also the chance of not waking up tomorrow, and so there's no driving at all. Life is hard to predict, and in general, I'm happy with where I am. The goal was that when I signed my contract, I would drive here until the end of my career. I don't think these talks would have gotten as big as they did if Christian Horner hadn't been fired. The British guy was part of the team since the very beginning, and I know for sure that hurt a lot of Red Bull's loyal fans. There have been reports that his closest friends have also been fired by Red Bull right away. And even though this messed with the feeling at Red Bull, Max says it had nothing to do with his choice to see what his options are after 2025. Talking more about this, Max said, "Of course, when there's a change like that on the first day, people are a bit like, okay, what's happening? But luckily, I think basically the day after they announced it, I was at the factory doing my simulator stuff and you just go back to work. We have to work on making the car faster, setting up the car here, and making sure that everything works together in the best way possible. And yeah, you just focus on that because at the end of the day, that's my job." The famous exit clause is now letting him leave the team if he's behind Russell in the fight for third place in the next two races. So, If that happens, I guess some interesting talks are going to happen behind closed doors. And with how the engines are supposedly being built back at the factory in Red Bull's powertrain department, there isn't much hope that Verstappen will get a competitive car in his hands to fight for a fifth championship. If that were to happen, what choices could Max Verstappen have? Of course, Aston Martin is up there, and the Silverstone team will definitely have the biggest chance to sign the four-time world champion if Mercedes is out of the picture. They have the ingredients that helped Max win so many championships with Red Bull. And honestly, I don't think Max will think twice if Honda's engines turn out to be really competitive. But what can't be forgotten is that for 2027, the door at Mercedes is not closed. In 2026, Verstappen, Red Bull, and Mercedes will all think about their options and see where they stand in the market. There is, however, one more thing that needs to be talked about, and that's how much Ola Kalinius, the CEO of Mercedes, wants this. There have been tons of reports that he's going to push Wolff to do everything possible to sign Verstappen for 2026. Not because he doesn't believe in the current drivers or the technical stuff that's happening behind closed doors, but because he has a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity in front of him. That's the same thinking Aston Martin has, even though both of these teams have really focused on their driver lineups starting in 2026. What this suggests is that the engines, batteries, and the entire aero package that Mercedes and Aston Martin have prepared are so strong, and they're so confident that they don't actually need Max Verstappen to make all the difference. Although, to be honest, I don't see why you wouldn't try to get Verstappen's signature when you have the chance. Despite all the bad stories about Red Bull right now, Horner is gone. The technical development is falling apart. So, what's left to be done? Go for the ultimate prize, which in this case is Max Verstappen. But what most people think from what has happened so far is that the four-time world champion will stay with Red Bull for a longer time, or at least until 2026. According to Martin Brundle, who talked with Verstappen directly about this, the intentions were very clear to see if you could fix what's broken in Red Bull. That could also mean the firing of Christian Horner had to do with the Austrian side of the team trying to make the Dutchman happy. And if progress is seen right away under the leadership of Laurent Mekies, then I think Horner should be the only person to be blamed for the team falling apart. Talking more about Max's position in Red Bull after 2025, Brundle said, "I think the conversation that Max and Wolff had was part of what was going on. But on Thursday, Max was like, it's all about having a fast car. I just want a fast car, and I think Horner's exit means he will now stay. I'm certain he will now stay at Red Bull for 2026 and see what happens." A conversation I had last night seemed to confirm that. But the performance is not exactly terrible, is it? All of this story, even though it seems to be ended for 2026, is going to be opened up again soon. And the main thing we're going to be looking at is how well the engines perform in the new rule era. If the reports are true, and if Max Verstappen gets one of the worst power units on the grid, then you can be sure that talks about his future are going to start literally from the first race of the season. With all of this in mind, where do you think Max Verstappen will end up in 2026 after hearing what Wolff said? And more importantly, do you think that Ola Kalinius is going to override the Austrian team principle and try to bring Verstappen? No matter how much it could cost the team's chemistry. Let us know in the comments below. And once you do that, make sure to click on the video that's appearing on your screen right now.